And I will call this meeting to order. Unfortunately, Jared's not here to lead us, but hopefully he's doing something that's good. Carolyn, are we all set?
You're ready to go.
Okay, wonderful. So I will call this meeting of the Albemarle County Historic Preservation Committee, March 22nd, 2021. It's currently 4:30 p.m. This meeting is being held in pursuit to and in compliance with ordinance number 20-A16, an ordinance to ensure the continuity of government during the COVID-19 disaster. We do have a quorum present for this meeting that is held electronically. And let's see, some announcements. Opportunities for public access to this meeting are posted on the county website at the county's calendar. The public has real-time audio-visual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone, both as provided in lawful posted meeting notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at the county's website. This online meeting is a public record and subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. Let's see. Yeah, and just everybody remember, please remember that it is good practice to keep your computer muted, I guess, to mute your microphone until it is your turn to speak. I hope everybody had a chance to review the minutes from February's meeting that Chris sent out with the agenda. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt February's 2021 Historic Preservation Committee minutes, unless there's a correction or anybody has a comment that they'd like to make. Any corrections? That anybody saw? Then I'd like to ask for a motion to accept and approve the minutes from last February's meeting.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, there's a couple seconds. Thank you. Motion passed. Minutes approved. We're gonna.
You have to call for a vote.
Oh, I do. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. Let's call for a vote. All that in favor, say aye and raise your hand. All not in favor, say nay, raise your hand. All in favor? Thank you, Liz. Great, okay, so minutes are approved after our vote. We first have a presentation. Diane's gonna have a presentation that, let's see here.
Just some suggestions. It's very homemade movie.
Okay.
It's you guys.
I have it queued up. Hopefully it doesn't take away my audio like last time.
All right, so Chris, you have everything ready for Diane's presentation.
Yes.
Diane, do you have any comments to open this with?
Well, one thing I wanted to say about community engagement, and Nancy talked to someone, I think a community member that was a bus driver, that made a suggestion about the church on Owensville Road, or someone, I think it was Ellen Adams, perhaps having a marker that was centered around her. But the whole point of this presentation is to think of different ways or different subject, how we can perhaps approach different topics for markers. It may be a member, it may be the church, it may be the community at large. So that's all I have to say for now, but I'll have a few more comments later.
Okay, okay, very good. Chris, can you begin the presentation?
Sure.
Albemarle County Historic Marker Project 2021. Purpose: to review the following topics: historic marker resources and/or research, to research historic markers that have been identified and have yet to be identified, to consider community nomination markers, to explore and consider strategies, techniques, ideas, suggestions, and tips. Goals: to honor the history of marginalized communities in Albemarle County, to educate the public about their communal contributions. This 1860 map illustrates the population density of enslaved people in Virginia. The dark gray area of the county shows that more enslaved people live there. In Albemarle County, the white population enslaved more than half of the area's total population, 53%, forcing them to labor and produce vast amounts of wealth for the benefit of others. The full exhibit can be seen at the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. Historic marker resources and/or research. The women pictured in this slide are gathered at a reception to honor the Burley nurses as University of Virginia alumni. Similar photos are included to emphasize how community engagement with folks who are now in their 70s, 80s, and 90s really helps. The second woman on the left front row is my Aunt Maude Jones Boykin. She turned 96 years old 2 weeks ago. She studied the same curriculum as the University of Virginia nurses and graduated in 1965. Research professor Lynn Rainville studies the everyday lives of Virginians and past communities. Her book, Hidden History, African American Cemeteries in Central Virginia, may be a good resource to turn to. Lynn's research has often provided genealogical information about Central Virginia's African American communities. Virginia's African American Historical Markers, published by Virginia's Department of Historic Resources, may be a good place to start marker exploration. This book could serve as an initial resource during the process of considering a permanent county-wide marker program. Regina Rush, Special Collections Librarian at UVA, is willing to assist the committee with research and has asked that requests be sent via the following link: https://library.virginia.edu/services/reference As the committee continues to confer with the Albemarle Charlottesville Historical Society to assist with the interpretation of each marker's historical context and meaning, Miranda Burnett, the ACHS librarian, is willing to assist the committee with research and has asked that requests be sent via the following link: library@albemarlehistory.org. Familiar historic marker landmarks, people and/or places to consider, and new suggested topics. Mrs. Anna Jackson Hunter graduated from the Burley High School nursing program in 1954. Miss Anna and her classmates grew up in the Advanced Meals community. Approximately 3 of Mrs. Anna's Advanced Meals classmates were also known to have been Burley Nurses Program graduates. Mr. Willis McGlasgow Carter, educator, activist, community leader, and statesman, was born in the Greenwood community. In 1893, Carter became founder and editor-in-chief of the Stanton Tribune. The Lincoln Cemetery was established in 1908 and owned by J.F. Bell Funeral Home. It served as a major burial ground during segregation. A local marker that honors former New York Giants player Roosevelt Rosie Brown Jr. is depicted in the slide. As the Rivanna River Corridor project is developed, I envision wayside markers along the path of the river. Maps noting activities trails with Monacan Nation heritage programs would include storytelling to educate the public about Monacan cultural practices. Several historic markers along the river corridor is an example of how we can build informed, collaborative programming. Historic markers that educate the public about source communities would serve to complement existing museum program expansion projects. Mount Calvary Baptist Church was organized in 1869. Based on the committee's earlier discussions, I believe the steeple was left intact until 1986. A member of the church stated that there are original sections of the steeple located in the basement or the lower level of the church. Community-nominated markers. In 1954, Ellen Adams of the Oak Union community spoke with the Daily Progress about her recollections of the Civil War. I spoke with Mrs. Adams' granddaughter, Mary Thornton, last fall. Mary is currently writing a book about her grandmother and family. She suggested that a historic marker be themed around her grandmother. Mary also expressed interest in a historic marker that would honor Mr. Jory Brown, a co-founder of Monticello Area Community Action Agency. Mr. Brown's community service work spanned across several surrounding counties. He was my vocational mentor and placed me on my first job at the Albemarle Library. I worked there for 2 summers while in high school. Mr. Benjamin Franklin Yancey was an influential educator in the Esmont community. The Yancey Community Center Committee is in the process of planning a dedication area to Mr. Yancey as improvements are made to the center. Mr. B.F. Yancey's gravesite is located at the New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery in Esmont. The Yancey community is also in the process of planning the Simpson Park Community Revitalization Project. A wayside marker placed along the Simpson Trail would bring attention to accomplishments of James E. Simpson as an entrepreneur and landowner. His descendants are actively involved in planning the J. E. Simpson Park and Community Revitalization Project. Mr. Simpson's gravesite is located at New Green Mountain Baptist Church. New Green Baptist Church was organized in 1896. Blenheim, Virginia is an unincorporated community located in Albemarle County. Middle Oak Baptist Church is the heart of Blenheim and is the center of religious and social activities for the community. Descendants are partnering with the College of William and Mary, James Monroe Highland Museum, and various historical organizations to tell a complete story of Blenheim and its African American families. Planning objectives for a county-wide marker program. Community Remembrance Program coordination and/or collaboration. Explore resourceful marker publications. Educate, support, and provide community guidance. Remain mindful of contextual meaning of marker text. Continue to communicate, advocate, update, and confer. Building trust with internal and external collaborators is essential to the process of creating a county-wide historic marker program. Thank you for your time and attention.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Anything you want to add, Diane?
That was great. Thank you.
That was, thank you very much.
Well, I just think we have a lot to work out. Once we start rocking and rolling with the subcommittee meetings, we're able to have hopefully once a month, because I can't do impromptu meetings. I'm busy. I really cannot do on-demand meetings right now. So if we
Right.
were able to establish some manner of, just maybe a week before we meet here, once a month, that would be helpful, I think.
Okay. Did anybody have any comments or questions or input? If anyone would like to speak, just raise your hand. Okay. Margaret, shall we go to work group updates? Okay. Let's see. Okay, Margaret, would you go ahead and take this moment to give us a brief update, to answer any questions, review the current
Yeah.
committee list?
Sure, yeah. Diane's comments about no on-demand meetings is a good segue into this item. So hopefully everyone had a chance to read the documents that I emailed to you with the new subcommittee program. Can everybody just raise their hand? Did everybody see it? Did everybody read it? Awesome, great. So I did have a couple of questions from Diane, and one of them was asking, what does real time mean? And I can't tell you any more than what the county attorneys have told us. I can just read what they gave us from the guidance for meetings under FOIA. And what they're saying is real time is communication that's close enough in time to one another. So emailing close enough to one another to be relatively equivalent to a conversation. So unfortunately, they've not put a time limit for us. So I can't tell you exactly what that means, but wait a little while. Just dying to respond to an email. Just wait a while.
Repita, por favor. Say that again. Run that definition by me again.
Sure. Communications close enough in time to one another to be relatively equivalent to a conversation. So what that means to me is somebody emails you, don't immediately send an email back. Wait a while. And after you send that email, the person who gets it, don't email right away. Wait a while. What a while means, not really sure. But don't let it be like a in-person conversation. Wait a while and you should be good to go.
Okay.
Any questions on that one?
Our hands are pretty tied, so they'll continue to be tied, I guess.
It
Okay.
makes it a little difficult. So, and there was another question. Diane, you asked if all the discussions about historic markers are subject to the public meeting protocol. So any discussion that's happening under any of the situations that those documents have outlined as being a meeting would need to be subject to the public meeting protocol. Now, if you, for example, Diane, were having a conversation with a member of the public, obviously that's not public meeting. So you can have that conversation. It's just when you start to get into groups and you start having that real-time conversation, then that's subject to the meeting protocol. You asked, I think your concern there was that there might be members of the public who don't want their comments made public, but that if you're having a private conversation with them, then maybe if you're bringing that information to a group that's in a public meeting, maybe you can just express those concerns in a way that you don't actually have to identify that particular person, or you can find another way just to make it more general so that the concerns can be addressed without
I
identifying.
mean, you're going to get, we may think it's a grand idea to have a specific landmark or site or person nominated for a marker. And a community member might just say, I just think my neighbor was horrible or whatever, they maybe look like this grand hero gave land or whatever, but they may just think, they just may not be in agreement with what we think. So that I'm already running across that type of thing. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, sure. It would be unusual though, I think, to have everybody in total agreement all the time. Are there other questions about the subcommittee?
Can you talk more about the pilot program?
I don't have any more information to share than what was in the document. There's 3, Historic Preservation Committee is one of the few subcommittees where this is being tested out. I think the test period is about 6 months. We need to be following the rules, and I think if we find that the rules aren't being followed, then the privilege to work in subcommittees may not be continued.
Sure, but what has been sent doesn't offer any guidance as to how to actually do any subcommittee work. It just says this is what subcommittees should do. So like, let's play this out. How would, local marker subcommittee would like to meet, just let's pick a day, 3 weeks from now, off schedule of regular Historic Preservation Committee meetings. What do we need to do as a subcommittee to abide by those rules?
So it needs to be posted at least 3 working days before the meeting. So you would need to let staff know when you want to hold that meeting, or that you plan to do that. And you would need to get us, provide us with the link to that meeting.
Well, that sounds entirely doable. We would just say we're going to have a standing meeting, as
That would
Diane
make it
suggested,
easier.
every Monday before the main committee. And that it would just be automatically posted, for anyone to join. I don't know
That would
how you all
simplify.
feel about that, but let's just do that. Problem we had run into before when we asked is that there didn't seem to be a viable means to be able to publicize our subcommittee meetings. And that made it really difficult. So I think if we just call for a standing meeting and then the committee can continue with it, can carry out its work. It's just impossible. If we can't talk, it's impossible.
Right. And I think that the Board of Supervisors understands that, and they are trying to find a way to make it possible for the subcommittee work to continue. So this is the attempt. If we encounter problems as we work through this, let us know so we can try to figure out what else needs to be done, what else needs to be fixed, or what needs to be changed, and so that we can try to keep the subcommittee work going.
The only other possibility I could imagine is that the subcommittee's meeting would just be a continuation of this kind of meeting, this monthly meeting of the committee. And, those who want to sign off afterwards who aren't involved in it could do so, but those who are remaining could just continue on and meet and talk about what needs to be talked about. So it's, it's still, it's a part of.
Margaret, I have one thing I need to say about that.
Yeah, there's another meeting that starts at 6, so that wouldn't work. The subcommittee meeting would need to be a separate standalone meeting. I mean, you could follow in time, but
Will these have to be recorded as well? Are they Zoom meetings?
yeah. So let's see, where
I believe so. I
yeah.
think I think they have to be recorded and minutes have to be taken, and
Yeah.
the onus would be on the committee to do that.
So they need to schedule these meetings through me so that,
It doesn't actually say that. It doesn't say it has to be a county Zoom account. So
but they have to get me all the information so I can put it on the calendar.
we need to get
Or
the
you.
information. so we can
Right.
put it on-
I mean, somebody gets it to me, whether they get it to you and then you send it to me.
Yep.
So, and that would mean they'd have to have the Zoom information and a link and everything. And it has to be on the calendar at least 3 business days before the meeting. So you're talking about doing it every month before this meeting, that's fine. And then you'll have to send me the recording the next day so that I can then link it to the calendar page.
Right.
Okay. That sounds like we can work this out.
Right, already know, but to add the timeline, Karen brought it up, that would be the Wednesday before, kind of similar to the HBC thing. If it's the Monday before, it'd be that Wednesday of that fall.
Advertising Wednesday, yeah.
But would it be possible for us just to make this a standing meeting? Just put it on the calendar through the rest of the year?
I think that would simplify things.
It's really to save you all time. It just would be a pain otherwise to be doing this each month.
Sounds like a great idea. If the subcommittee members are all able to do that, that would be awesome.
If you guys want to, Margaret, if this is okay with you, they can just reach out to me directly since I'm the one that puts it on the calendar. And my suggestion would be if one person is going to lead the meeting, they have their own Zoom account, I'd set it up as a recurring meeting so that the invite, what you click on to go to this meeting is always the same. We don't have to change it every month. I assume you could do that with private Zoom accounts. I don't know because I only use business ones, but that would make it much easier because once I put the information in once, it's there the rest of the year. And I'm not sure what the cancellation notice is, Margaret. Do we have to have a certain amount of time if a meeting is canceled? Or just the day of, we can put on there if something came up and it was canceled?
I've never heard any rules about having to cancel. And if you got to cancel at the last minute, it's not like you can show up if you can't show up, right? So.
Right, okay.
I did ask about attendance protocol. Let's pick a good day so that I can make sure I'll be there.
Sorry, what was that, Diane?
Attendance protocol. Are there any rules of engagement about that?
For the
I don't think we
subcommittee
have any
meeting?
in our subcommittee. No, not like regular standing meetings, but yeah, we can, I mean, that day works for me. I don't want to put you on the spot, Diane, once you.
What day did we say?
Well, we were proposing the Monday before our regularly scheduled.
Oh, I just threw that out as
That
an
would-
example, but that might work.
That would be like I think that's the third, is that the third Monday of the month?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
But a different time, please, because this is a really tough time slot for me.
You name it, Diane. You just name it, because I think your schedule might
Yeah.
tell us what works for you. That would help us.
We don't have to do this now.
Yeah, let me think about it because
In
then somebody will
non-real
call me a student will call me to do something with it. It's a lot of my schedule is on demand and it's sort of impromptu, so I can't I have to be able to make it make sense, but thank you.
We'll try to find time, and thank you to staff. And I also just want to recognize too the role that Ann Malik played in advocating for the subcommittees. I listened to that meeting, and she, you know, let the other board members know how important this work is that we're doing in our subcommittee and in our committee at large. You know, some counselors, Board of Commissioners didn't realize there was a historic preservation committee, didn't realize there were subcommittees even. So, you know, it's good that we have get our name out there, because I think we all care about what we're doing.
Thanks.
So I will initiate an email to Liz, Diane, and Betsy about their availability.
I'll answer it next week.
Okay. All right. Should we go through and check on all the other subcommittee work and get some updates? Start with Liz with the Heritage, Education, and Tourism. Any updates?
Well, the specific project that we are working on, and I don't think we have too much to report, is the local marker program. I know that Nancy did go out and review on site the newly installed local marker for the Albemarle Training School, and pictures. I think it's important to note that the local markers don't afford for a lot of text, at least in their current configuration. You know, we're still, whether this is a state marker or a local marker, this kind of current template is pretty limited in just in terms of number of words. But it is a nice looking sign. Nancy, do you want to add anything about that local marker?
Oh, it's a nice looking sign, but it's and quite distinguished from the DHR marker. It's dark green with gold letters on it. It's a little bit smaller. So those things coming together, it makes it a little harder to find, really, to see it. So situating these is going to become really critical. But I think I'd also like to hold out the question, since this is a kind of test, these 5 that we're doing right now, maybe we should step back and say, no, letters have to be this size, the sign needs to be big, it just simply has to be bigger, or, you know, just some small things like that. And I actually just don't even know what ability we have to influence any modifications based on the first example. And again, it was very nice. It's a very attractive sign, but I think there are a few things we can do that would make it much more visible on the road.
Can I ask a question about money available? Do we have money available through the county for these markers?
Yeah, I believe for the first 5 that we do, and it's coming, it's sort of coming to the Historic Preservation Committee, or it's, you know, we're working with funds allocated to the Office of Equity and Inclusion. So, and they were responsible for the design, the text, and the installation of that first sign. So that's sort of why it is here, and we didn't exactly touch it, though it is being included as part of those 5 markers tasked to, you know, from the Board of Supervisors to be installed in the county in this year.
Now, if a particular property qualifies for a DHR marker, does the county still pay for that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to make that clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more marker updates, or?
I don't have any other updates
No.
based on sort of our action items from last our last meeting, but I think we have a lot of, you know, now that we know we can move ahead in subcommittee, we'll start forward on more.
There are plenty of comments that I'll have to I'll make there, and you know, in terms of how we could structure, maybe create a template. I don't know how much latitude we have in doing so. We're talking about wording of the marker. Just 5 steps found when whatever subject matter we're approaching. We might want to just say when it was founded or organized, first major event after it was founded, why honor the person, why, or person, place, thing, or landmark, who or what, how did that person, place, or thing impact our region locally or the state. So that's kind of like the framework that I'm thinking will simplify it instead of trying to pull in write a novel.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I will
great,
write,
Diane.
I'm tempted to write a novel because I write a lot. And
I
so
think that would simplify what we're asking. If if it's a community solicited topic, it would be easy for someone to kind of answer those things as they're thinking, is this a topic that could be a marker, yes or no? So I think that's, you're thinking, you're on the right track. So I think that's all from our committee this month. Awesome.
Okay, all right.
Ross,
Yes.
Ross, sorry, can we go back to the subcommittee topic for just a second? I wanted to review list of members that I have for each of the subcommittees and make sure we're all, that it's accurate and up to date, if that's okay with you.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna try and share my screen. And let's see. Hold on just a second. Let me pull up the right document. I'll try and share again. Here we go. Okay, are you able to see my Word document?
If you could zoom in a little bit,
Yep.
a little bit more. There you go. There we go.
Okay, so we've got, as I see it, 3 active subcommittees, and one is the marker subcommittee, which I've put under the broader heading of heritage education. We've got Liz, Diane, Nancy, and Betsy. Is that accurate? Good. Okay. Then we have the real estate subcommittee, Jared, Ross, and Carter. Is that everyone?
Yes.
Okay. And then the demolition and documentation, Ross, Ed, Carter, and Craig. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I see you talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Have I forgotten anybody? Anything?
Not that I can see. Anyone else?
Okay, good. That's what I needed. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So next would be the demo and documentation committee. Ed and I are both visiting 10 o'clock tomorrow, 6565 Esmont Road, which the county has as 1898, a frame house with stucco exterior, metal roof, no central heating, just under 1,600 square feet. Carter, did you ever lay eyes on that house? It's a 100-acre parcel that's right as you come into Keene, taking a right on Esmont Road. It's a second parcel on the right. So Ed's going to call and verify with the owner that we'll be there at 10 o'clock. And we will document that structure. There's only what the county calls a car shelter with a storage room attached behind it. So I'm curious to see how that is constructed and what the materials are and the age of that structure. But Ed and I will be down there tomorrow. I did do a follow-up on 5780 Tabor Street. It's a very vernacular farmhouse next door to the Crozet Presbyterian Church. It's been in poor condition for quite a while and been neglected and been basically abandoned. They had tenants in there many years ago, and it's been vacant for some time. I think I mentioned this in previous meetings. Was approached to find someone to restore it that would want to rent it very long term. I wasn't able to really find anybody to take on that type of a project for a rental. The foundation needed work. It was the original stone foundation with piers. Um, so it was a difficult task to find someone that wanted to commit themselves to a restoration renovation and lease it for quite a long period of time, probably in the tune of 10 years, 15, I don't know. I drove by the other day, and Henry Childs is one of the members of the church committee handling this structure. And they have taken off all the asbestos siding and removed the windows. So I called Henry Childs the other day, spoke with his son Huff, and they do plan to raise that structure. I told them that to make sure they get a demo permit from the county and to go through all the process. And they promised me that they plan to do that. So right now the house is sitting there with the composition shingles on, no windows, and now the original weatherboard is shown because they took off all the asbestos siding, the shingled asbestos siding off of there. They always obviously do that before they demo it. They also do that before they give it to the fire department to practice on, which is often done, some of these structures, but I don't know what else they're doing with it. I will follow up with it, but the church's plan is to raise it. And it's a beautiful example of just a vernacular farmhouse. So if anybody's in the Crozet, it's right off of Crozet Avenue. If you're coming in from the public school side of 250 on 240, as you come into downtown Crozet, Tabor Street is your first right. And the Presbyterian, a beautiful brick church, is on your left. And this sits on the high hill right next door to the parking lot of the Crozet Library. And it's a great house. It sits there by itself. That's the status of that structure. Not a good status. Other than that, anybody else know of any endangered historic properties or any demos that are scheduled otherwise?
Hey, Ross,
Yes.
I visited that house last week and it's due for demo this week.
Oh, the Tabor Street?
Yes,
Okay,
the day I stopped by your office.
got you. Okay.
So do we know if it went through any sort of demo permit?
I don't know.
The Childs promised me that they were going to, I told them they needed at least to get the demo permit submitted. So I can certainly follow up on that. Craig, they are salvaging what needs to be salvaged out of that, which are mainly just doors, really.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot, but they told me that maybe even today that it would be demoed. He said
Oh, good.
first part of this week.
Oh, okay.
Chris, was that on our list?
No, not aware of that.
That's why when I spoke with Huff Childs, I told him Henry's old school, Henry Childs of Crown Orchard. Crown Orchard is a business that's been in Albemarle County 120 years. They've have been leaders in the apple and peach industry. They've here in Western Albemarle and down in Covesville is where their packing shed is. my concern was, he's very old school, and that means sometimes that, trash dumps and demos don't need permits. So I can follow up, with them on that. But I specifically asked them to get a demo permit if that was the case. I was kind of caught off guard driving by to see the asbestos siding off and the windows already out.
It makes you wonder if there was any sort of environmental permit or, appropriate OSHA protection for the people doing that work, which, we're going to be concerned about buildings disappearing from our landscape. We should also be concerned about workers being safe. But I know that's a different department. It just is really upsetting that, just because someone's old school.
I agree. I mean, that's no excuse. I was just, yeah.
And they did have an abatement team come do the removal at quite an expenditure. I do know that. So that's actually good news.
Yeah, I think the reason they probably took the windows off was because of the lead paint.
There was a member of the church that wanted the glass, stained glass. So the church member removed the windows.
Okay. I know that all that foundation is all that old stone. I don't know how best to proceed. I can reach out to the Childs family again or someone at the church. But I specifically, when I mentioned it, I reiterated that they need to have a Albemarle County demolition permit.
Yeah.
How old is the building? Anybody know?
They have it in 1900. I think it's a little older than that. The county has it in 1900, but I don't know. Ed, you and I could always run by there after Esmond if you wanted. I have pictures of it before the siding was taken off. I don't have a floor plan, but I do have every elevation photograph from about a year ago. And I even told the church that I own an adjoining parcel. I don't think this is a conflict to talk about it, but I even told them I'd buy a portion of that land so they could use it to restore the house. And that they did not want to give up on any of their land, where I clip on a little corner of it, thinking that might help raise money for them for the restoration of the structure, but they were not interested. So I don't know what else we can do at this point. I will. I don't know. Maybe Craig, if you could reach out to them and just suggest that they get a permit. I don't know.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
Okay. Be glad to.
We just, it's just proper protocol. The last time we had a demo permit in Crozet, the Crozet Gazette at least did a nice article on it, and they'll probably come and want to take a picture of it. But obviously most people, when they're demoing a property, they like to be very quiet about it. And I think this is an opportunity where we can kind of engage the community so they can understand the importance of knowing what's going on and to help our preservation initiative.
Ross,
Yes.
will it put you in a difficult position if we let the building official know that they plan to do?
No, absolutely. I mean, they can drive by and see what's going on right now. So that's not a problem at all.
And I'll add, I double checked her quickly. I didn't see a demo permit in.
So yeah, it's going to happen obviously very soon if they've got all that done already. I don't think there was any underground oil tanks or anything there, but again, that's kind of the importance of, like Liz was mentioning, the importance of a demo permit. So, you know, you find out, number one, it did have asbestos on the siding. The roof was composition shingled, which was originally tin. The foundation was stone, but, you know, I don't know if there was ever an oil furnace in that building or not. But, you know, I guess the demo permit kind of identifies those issues, and that's the importance of a demo permit. But it's sad because it looks right at the Crozet Elementary. It's on the highest point right there. That's going to overlook the new plaza for the Barnes Lumber redevelopment project. So when I talked to the Tabor Church with the Childs, Henry, in the beginning of it, I expressed to him the importance of that structure because it's so visible, and it was such a good example of a vernacular farmhouse. And you know, I hope that the church would be able to work with it and use it for something. But I just didn't get very far.
And that was 5780 Tabor Street, is that right?
5780. Yeah. The property next door to that, to the east, is not an old house, but that is a property that's under contract. It may be raised as well. But that's not an old structure at all. But you know, of course, the Childs family owns everything across that street, which is a huge block of property with at least 4 historic structures on it, which are safe. They're family properties. They've been owned by the Childs forever. So is there any other comments or questions regarding the demo and documentation committee? Okay. Let's see, real estate letters. Chris, did we end up finding what letter we were using? I don't recall.
Yeah, we've narrowed it down to
Okay.
the one letter, if you recall from the last meeting. I don't think it would.
Okay. Are there any
That letter.
updates with that? Are you getting the emails being sent? Did we get that clarified?
And it might just be because this time of the sales, I hadn't seen one come into the new box yet. I'll double check.
Okay. Keep me posted on that. And if you
Okay, yeah, still no email, but it might be the timing of when that email was added.
Just make sure Amy kind of administers all the MLS stuff, my wife, so make sure she's copied on it.
Okay.
That's okay with that, Margaret. It gets done faster.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will add an update that the real estate letters or the letters sent out are now up to date.
Great.
Tailoring it down to that single letter really sped up the process.
That's good to know. Good work, Chris. Thank you.
Yes, and Chris had a training session with our administrative assistant here to get her started to take over that process. So we're looking forward to the next email alert to come in so we can get that started.
And who is the administrative assistant?
Vivian.
Vivian.
Yes. So I don't know that you'll actually see her email because all the correspondence should be coming from that historic preservation at Albemarle.
Oh yeah, and we wanted to probably mention, it almost slipped my mind, that any correspondence even from us asking if you think this house needs a letter will start coming from that box. So if you don't notice it's that email we're sending from that email box.
Okay, good to know. Okay. All right. Does anybody know of any new owners of historic properties or any properties that are in threatened properties to watch? I'm looking at a property in Sismot that my cousin CB Stevens owns, and it's right on Sismont Lane. It's an old log house that had been moved. I have the history of it. I don't have it with me. It's in terrible shape. It's sitting on the ground. So they are going to look into having a closer study of it to see what can be done, if everything can be peeled away from the structure and maybe, kept on a foundation there. We are going to look at dismantling the whole thing. He's going to look at dismantling the whole thing. Again, with our committee members, I'd love to get Ed and Craig out there. I'm going to get Craig out there at some point. Ed, again, I guess we have to announce that we would have a meeting, I guess, out there with 3 or more people. So I'll reach out later about that, but we're trying to figure out what's the best route for this.
Maybe Craig would be better than I to go out there than if there's only 2 of us allowed.
Right.
He would be able to.
I did go look in the window, Ross,
Okay, good.
on the way to Findowry. So
Good. I was going to call you after this meeting and you and I can meet there this week. How about that? Or if you're available.
Yeah. After I'm actually in Hatteras right now.
Oh, nice.
After Thursday.
Okay. Good. Okay. I will reach out to you next week then
Okay.
and let you catch up.
Okay.
And I hope the fish are biting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other
Ross.
threatened properties?
Yeah, I'll just note that Peter Wiley forwarded me an email last week. Was a notice that Viewmont Farm is for sale.
Yes. I don't think except for the barns, that's the only structure left. They raised the Viewmont house. So that house is brand new.
Okay.
So the only structures there, most of that property was all corn. It's a beautiful setting above the Hardware River. But that is a brand new house. I have been talking with Friends of Esmont, and they are trying to put a group together to restore the old Purvis store. They have a website up, friendsofesmont.com, I believe it is. I suggested to them that they find maybe an architect. They were looking for a contractor, and I thought, since it's a contributing structure, that they should look into tax credits. I don't know if, since it was a commercially used building, I don't think you can apply for federal tax credits because it's no longer commercial use. But they could certainly look at the ability of tax credits, and if anybody knew of an architect that wanted to be involved with it kind of pro bono and have a look at the structure and give them some guidance, they are looking for help. They're trying to, they're doing some good work down there, and it's really going to start with this Purvis store as the kind of the central hub for the whole project.
Did you go look at it, Ross?
I have not yet.
I mean, it's great if they can save it. It's had a hole in the roof for 5 or 6 years.
Is it the
I'd
main
be
portion?
shocked if,
The main portion of that, or the back?
yeah,
portion?
the 2-story part
Yeah.
has a big hole in the roof.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't know.
Yeah, they
Is that the one with the curving top in Esmont, or is it?
no, it's the one on the main strip across from the post office, right,
Okay.
Carter?
No, it's
down from
further,
the post office.
It's what?
it's further down from the post office.
Yeah,
But on
across
that
the
strip.
street from the post office, kind of across from that bottom land field.
Yes, yeah, that's what I meant. It's not the one Ed's talking about at the end of the road.
No.
Right, that's Pace's garage or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. So they've got a good group down there. They're trying to work on revitalizing historic Esmont. So they have a recent book. I don't think it's at home, but they have a recent book out that they published. And if anyone has an interest, please, there it is. Yep, there we go.
This is the old post office.
Yeah, which is a wonderful building. And it's interesting how the railroad system was there during the time when they had the soapstone quarries and going and so forth. So if anybody, please everyone look into that, and they need all the help they can get. Let's see. Any other announcements or statements?
Yeah, I've got another update on some good news. Happy to share some good news. I don't know if many of you have tried to get there. I'm going to try and share my screen again. So, are you able to see my screen? Should see the county's website.
Now we can.
So I am happy to tell you all that Stephanie in our office here has done some great work, and she has updated the committee's webpage. So we've got some information back on. I'm going to, if you're not familiar with how to get to the committee's webpage, if you're at the county's homepage, if you hover over government and you go over under Board of Supervisors to boards and commissions, click on that, and then scroll down and click on Historic Preservation Committee. And so this is the Historic Preservation Committee's webpage. So if you recall, just not too long ago, the county did an overhaul of the website, and basically all the information that was had been with the committee's page was removed. And now we've got most, if not all of it, back again. So on this general page, this information here about purpose, this is text that came from the previous website. What you have now are the agendas for this year, for last year. There's nothing in archives yet, but eventually we'll get more of the past minutes in there. You have a link to the Historic Preservation Plan by just clicking on the cover image. And then here on the right-hand side, under resources, we have all of the documents that had been on the site previously. We've got the committee's rules of procedure, the archaeology of Albemarle County, the historic village survey, Monicans to Monticello, some tax credit information, and the committee's top 10 list. So all of those documents are now available. And then the committee projects that were on previously are here as well. The country stores, the previous evaluation and priority projects, the historic, the manual for owners of historic properties, the Rio and Cartersburg work, and eventually we'll get the Board of Supervisors updates in here as well. We've got the list of committee members. We've got links to the other preservation organizations. And then what Stephanie did for us was add this these scrolling images. What I need from you all is to go into the website on your when you have a few minutes. We lost the photo credits. So if anybody knows where what the credits are for these images, we would appreciate having that so we can update that. And I'll note that we can more photos than what's here. We can get more of those added in. So that's one place that you can get historic preservation information. The other place where you can do that is if you go to community development and you click on learn more about. We've now added historic and cultural resources as a page. And so this gives the information that we had previously about the National Register of Historic Places. And we have maps that we had previously. We have links to the maps. I'll just click on one here. This is the one that shows all of the National Register districts. It takes a little while for that to come up completely. I don't know why that's not showing completely, but it may have something to do with the Zoom connection. So we have all those historic districts. Still working on getting the map in here that has the individually designated properties. Here we've got links to the VDHR website and to the list of nomination forms for Albemarle County as well. So just so thankful that Stephanie was able to get all that in. I thought we would have a much longer time to wait to get these updates, but please everybody take some time, look through all this, see if there are anything that needs to be corrected or finessed a little bit, let me know. And I'll get Stephanie to help get it right.
I think it looks great. It's a nice looking site. I do have a question though. Where does the local markers project, if you call it that, would that go on that list of committee projects?
I think so. Does that seem like the right place to you? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Think about how you would like that, what do you want it to link to? What should we, what should we do?
Yeah, I think we could help outline, storyboards and text, and maybe it could be a place where as we obviously, as new markers are approved, installed, can start to track them. Eventually, maybe it could be a place where, kind of a community portal could live for submitting ideas. I mean, there's all kinds of things we could do with it, but maybe just a very, summarized page.
Question, from me, Monticello is not included on that page, and we have one of the most important historic buildings in the country.
Okay, well, it's not.
I'm sorry, which page?
On our historic preservation webpage, Monticello. That's a national treasure.
Sure. Which part of the page are you thinking it should be?
Well, any place, Margaret.
What is your top suggestion? Are you saying that there should be a photo? Are you saying it should be one?
Yeah, I'm thinking a photo at least, and maybe a sidebar with a photo mentioning that Monticello is in Albemarle County and it's a National Historic Landmark.
Why don't we plan to maybe everybody have a look at it this week, and what we'll do, Betsy, is let's all come to next month's meeting with ideas and suggestions to add to it or change or delete or correct, and we can all have our input in next meeting.
That's a great idea, Ross. What I would encourage you to do is maybe look at another one, like maybe look at the Natural Heritage Committee's website as well, so that you can see where the similarities are. We're required to follow a format. So, adding a photo on the right-hand side, I don't think that follows the format. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about what might need to be added or what might needs to be changed.
Okay, the Natural Heritage site?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll make a note and I will forward the link to that so you can
Great.
that for comparison.
Okay, that'd be good. And that always helps spark ideas and what other people are doing. So to look at other examples is always a good way to study the subject.
Yeah, and the
Yes, Ed.
go ahead.
If you're giving us a link, can you give me a link to the website you just showed?
I can.
That would make it a lot easier for me. Okay.
It will. I will do that, but I really want to encourage you all to become familiar with the website so that you can find stuff yourselves. And for example, like we were talking at the beginning, if you can't find your Zoom link to the meeting. So would really love you all to know how to get in here really easily and find where that is so that you can always access the meeting and can help other people access it as well. But yes, I will send the links for sure.
You know, I'm just traveling through that website. There's a tremendous amount of information on that website. I mean, I found myself just kind of going through it and finding a lot of information I didn't know was there.
Talking about the markers, I think it would be nice to be able to include photos of the markers when they're done. Maybe at some point in the not too distant future, we'll be able to, we could find a place that can do that scrolling or add them to that scrolling photo list as well. That would be great.
Great idea.
Is it wrong to use it as a marketing piece for the project? With Liz standing on the side of the road smiling and
We could also hold some of our previous presentations. You know, I think a year ago I presented on behalf of the committee to the Board of Supervisors. Perhaps Diane's, you know, presentation.
Not the parts that glitched out.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I almost lost that project.
That's great.
Yeah, I have an OS, something called Big Sur OS. I had Catalina, and if you have a Mac, it's always asking you to update. And I literally almost lost the project updating to something called Big Sur. Big Sur is really a big pain.
But it's also a beautiful place.
Indeed.
Okay. Whoops, sorry, hold it. There we go. Does anybody else have any comments to add? Margaret, you good with everything?
I'm good.
Okay, so our next Historic Preservation Committee will be virtual as also, and is scheduled for April 26th. Same time, that channel at 4:30.
Yep.
Look forward to seeing everybody there, and this meeting is adjourned.
Excuse me, before we adjourn, is it possible that the 4 members of the subcommittee can just hang on for 10 minutes to see if we can find time?
Carolyn, can you do that?
I have to pick up someone. He waits very patiently for me every meeting, and I have him waiting and waiting and waiting in the lobby of his employer. So I've got to pick up my son.
Mhm.
So if you is it something brief that we're?
No, go, you should go.
Okay.
But Liz and Betsy, can you hang on for 5 minutes just to see
Or
what,
I can,
we'll send it up to you, Diane.
Pardon?
If Liz and Betsy can hang on with me for just 5 minutes.
I'll hang on for a few minutes because I mean, if it's, if it's something, are you trying to have like another 15 or 20-minute meeting, or?
Just to find a time that we can all meet.
I can do that.
Okay.
Carolyn, can you do that? Carolyn?
Yes, we would. Yes, we have to be done by 6 o'clock though. So that
Right.
gives 11 minutes.
Okay.
Because I have another meeting.
That works. That works.
Y'all have 11 minutes. This meeting is adjourned. Bye. See y'all.
Right.
And I'm going to continue to record since it's
I don't know.
a meeting. So
So,
y'all can get started.
So, you know, I don't want to drag this out here, but just since emails and all don't really work anymore in the system, what can we do? Who wants to put out some times when we could establish a standing meeting for the local markers subcommittee?
with me, I'm pretty much open.
Okay,
So
great.
whatever suits everybody else probably will suit me as well.
I was hoping I'd have a little more time this week to think about it, because right now my mind is on so much. So let me just think about it for a few. I mean, we wouldn't be meeting before next month anyway.
Let's meet before next month's meeting. of this.
Before next month's meeting,
Right,
within-
but that's what I meant, just
within the month.
with,
Yeah.
you're
Try to
talking
find
about
out.
within this month?
No, within,
I was gonna say, I'm booked. I'm literally am.
we want to try to meet before next
Mhm.
month's Historic Preservation Committee. meeting.
Right, yeah, right, and that's reasonable, that's what I had in
Well,
mind.
one logistic to work out that we'll need to do, and I emailed Nancy, but since I have, we need to find a Zoom account, and I don't know, Nancy, can you use your UVA account to host, an hour-long meeting? Because if you don't have a account, you only get a 45-minute meeting.
Yeah.
We use if you set the account, then we can get that information when you put the meeting invite in, you can get that to Carolyn and Margaret, so for posting purposes.
Okay.
Be flexible too, and really, we Diane, we need your time, so let's work around your schedule
Yeah.
and make it happen.
Diane,
But-
just give us some times. And
Sounds
then-
like it's not going to happen before the end of this month, so maybe we can work on figuring out what we need to do, and I'm happy to work on drafting some text for the page, the landing page for our project for
Great.
the county to post, and we can work on that. Maybe that can be something we
Well,
talk
it's
about in
okay.
our first meeting.
The video can go on there, that's fine. I don't
That could
mind.
be a thing.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. Nice job, Diane, on that.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. Yeah, I noticed that's going, oh, wow, the speed of it. I was always concerned about the speed, but I think it was okay. But it was a little glitchy, but it got through. I thought it was going to stall out at one point.
No,
But
it's
anyway.
Oh, I thought it went fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, good.
So
Oh, thank you.
we'll wait, Diane, for you to give us time, and then we'll forward that to Carolyn for the notice. And Diane, when you find a time, let's try and make it one that you see as a standing meeting time that you can go to every month.
I'm just trying to, like I'm saying, think that sometimes I may have to kind of, depending on if someone asks me to come out and speak about something, that's very well possible. Do a
Possibly we will all four of us
presentation.
won't be able to make every meeting, so.
Right.
Mhm.
So Diane, you should go. Waiting for you.
Okay, well, we'll be in limited communication
Okay.
until next time.
Yeah, let me do. That's the night, if we tentatively said the 19th, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I told anybody anything. I would have to, let's see. Let's use that as a tentative date. I don't know about the times right now, but let's just use that. I think
April
that,
19th.
The
Yeah,
name-
April 19th.
Okay,
yeah.
name a time.
That's what I'm saying. That's a little tricky. I think maybe early afternoon. Just leave it at early afternoon.
And we will have to post that before the Wednesday prior, so we've got a little time to nail
Okay.
that down, so we'll check in with you then.
Liz,
Okay.
does early afternoon work for you?
That's what I'm suggesting. Probably more than likely that early afternoon. I think when we start getting into near 4:30 or 4 o'clock, that's a little too late for me,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Is that okay for you, Betsy?
It works for me.
Okay.
Liz, I'm not sure what your Monticello hours are.
It will work, as long as I block it out on my calendar, I can make it work.
Okay.
But we'll circle back, early and then give us time to follow all the protocol and post it on the county site and
Great.
try
Thanks,
to
all.
make it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You guys have a good rest of your, what's today? Monday?
Monday.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Monday, every Monday. Yeah. What am I thinking?
Okay.
It's Monday. All right.
Bye, everyone. Thanks,
Thanks,
staff.
Margaret, Bruce, and Carolyn for hanging on.
All right.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye.
Have a good night.